Hello and welcome to Scene on 7, fast becoming known as Whose Chair Is It Anyway? This week it's me, Patricia Mitchell, taking you through the usual action-packed programme. Our daring reporters have been testing themselves to the limit. Tony O'Rourke's been off discovering cannibalism in West Drayton. Will Kinder's been looking into a project which offers a healthy alternative for young people with drug problems. Keith Jones ropes an unsuspecting WMtv volunteer into jet skiing. And Elaine Ford shows us the thrill of the banana ride. Meanwhile, in the studio, Ivor Peters will be discussing the King's Church's special brand of help in the community. We've a live link-up with the Cable Corporation's very own John Clouden in Blackpool, and Keith Jones talks about life after Freeway. And to get the show on the road, what do Florida SeaWorld, Manly Beach Sydney and West Drayton all have in common? Yes, it's sharks. Our courageous reporter, Tony O'Rourke, couldn't afford the time to check out SeaWorld and Manly Beach and instead went off to Waterlife here in our very own West Drayton.
Hello, this week we're at Waterlife in West Drayton where we're sussing out the shark lark. Dr. Peter Revell, how many sharks have you got in this shark lark?
Well, today we have 2. If you'd asked the same question yesterday morning, I would have said 3.
Why's that?
But unfortunately, our cat shark was devoured by our lemon shark. So we're now down to 2 sharks.
Oh, is that something that happens a lot?
No, fortunately not
We
very
had
often.
12 sharks last week.
No, it's a fairly stable environment. Doesn't happen very often.
Right. What kind of sharks are they?
Well, we have a lemon shark and
Yes.
a nurse shark. They're both from tropical marine waters, both caught in Miami. And they've both been in the aquarium for most of the life of the aquarium, which is about 12 years now.
Mm-hmm.
They're brought in as babies.
Do you not think that they might be a little bit happier if they were in the sea?
No, I don't think so. They have a perfect environment here. We look after them extremely well. We cater for them, and they're not prey to any other sharks. So they'll almost certainly live to a very ripe old age.
Which can be up to, what, 40 years
Typically
old?
30 or 40 years, yes.
Right.
Yes.
Are they quite popular with the public?
Extremely popular. We have a lot of visitors to our aquarium. On a Sunday afternoon, we would have perhaps 200 people in there looking at the shark feeding.
Mark Davis, you're the assistant manager here.
That's correct, yes.
Part of your job is to feed the fish.
That's right, yeah.
Just take us through what you actually do. You kneel down on this bit of plastic and...
Yeah, I have to chop up the fish too. Otherwise they're too large for the sharks to take in one go.
Right.
So
what
they
sort
have
of
to be
fish? Are
chopped.
they fish you don't want anymore?
Oh, no, they're whiting, we buy them in. We buy them in large quantities from a fish market, and they're already gutted, etc. They've got the heads and tails on. The sharks still eat them. It all has to be chopped up.
Then.
No, they don't. As long as they get food, they don't care what it is, really. But it's all chopped up, and then it's put in, or chucked in from a distance. Keep your hands out of the water.
Jump out and like
Not
dolphins,
really.
then?
No, they come up very near the surface, but they don't actually jump out.
Right.
Not yet, anyway.
Right. It looks quite precarious where you're kneeling there. I mean, do you ever feel vulnerable?
Not really, no. No, feel totally safe.
You've never fallen in?
Not yet, no.
Now, what would happen if if you did fall in, would you get out again?
Yeah, very quick.
Are they like goldfish? Do they forget where they've just been? Are they constantly exploring?
Not really. I mean, they know their tank is their sort of like territory. Out in the wild, the sharks mark out their own territories. Although they travel large distances, they've already usually got a territorial area. But no, they're quite happy in there.
Richard Cox, you're the livestock manager here. Come on, how often do you change the water?
Well, at least twice a year when it's at its hottest, say from May up to about September time.
You've got quite a lot of water in there, haven't you?
Yeah, 40,000 gallons.
Oh, just 40,000 gallons.
Just.
And that must take a fair while to change then, does it?
No, it doesn't actually. Well, we only change about 10–20% each time.
Right.
And that takes about 15 to 20 minutes to drain down. It's the topping up process and adding new salt, which takes the time.
Your father started this place. How did it all come about?
Well, initially the building started in 1980 and it was completed in, I think, 1981, January of, and it's been going ever since.
Why?
But why? Well, he had a dream when he was teaching out in northern Rhodesia, which is now Zambia. When he was out there, he used to travel hundreds of miles to the coast, and the sight that he saw out there just completely captivated him, and he wanted to reproduce it when he was able, and he has.
There's something very fishy going on around here. If you fancy having a whale of a time, why not try having a lark with a shark? This is Tony O'Rourke for WMtv at Waterlife in West Drayton.
Tony O'Rourke there, sampling the delights of a very fresh shark fin soup. I wouldn't leave it too long before you pay a visit, just in case the shark numbers go down to 1. If you want to know more about Waterlife, the telephone number is 0753 682 487. That's 0753 682 487. Now, have you just come back from your summer holiday wondering when it will be before you can get the sand between your toes again? Well, wonder no longer, as the Slough Observatory is going to bring the beach to you. From next week until the 6th of August, the Observatory Shopping Centre will be transformed with the help of 2 tons of sand, yes, 2 tons of sand, seaside entertainers in the shape of Punch and Judy, Fat Lady Photography, fortune tellers, Strike the Hammer, Postman Pat seaside shows, holiday competitions and much, much more. So why bother with Brighton when you've got the Slough Observatory on your doorstep? I mustn't forget to mention the donkeys, but it does bring to mind a certain piece from Blue Peter with a baby elephant. But now let's move on. Not wishing to be too personal, but have you been hugged recently? Now, the reason I ask is because this week is National Hug Week, and you can get 4 specially designed postcards for 50p from major high street shops. So, post a hug. All the money raised will go to Bernardo's and help the aged. Let's face it, everyone needs a hug every once in a while, and I don't think you should feel limited to giving a hug just this week. Sometimes a hug is all that is needed to make us feel good about ourselves and put us back on track. But for others, the road to happiness and well-being isn't that simple. For many youngsters, the temptation of drugs and the pressure from their peers is all too much, and so a rocky and addictive road to drug abuse is taken. But it's not always a story of downward despair. There are places that are getting results in helping young people to kick the drug habit. Will Kinder and the crew went to the King's Church to find out what they're doing to help young people. Now, just a word of warning, if you're prone to epilepsy, you may prefer to look away at times, as there are some first-moving graphics in this film.
Recent Home Office figures show that in Britain today, drug addiction is still very much on the increase. Although most young people will never have any direct contact with drugs, there are a minority that do. For them, the experience can be devastating. And there are no simple solutions. And whilst debate continues nationally, a group of people in Slough are putting theory into practice.
That's a bass kick.
Now, Ivor, is the King Centre just a place for, a clean-up place for drug addicts?
No, it's not. The King's Centre, just to be clear, is a group of 5 churches around the area called King's Church. And really, we're there just to help people around the community. So we'll deal with a number of social issues, drug misuse just being one of them, we do things with the homeless, we do things with broken up families and single parent families, and drugs is just one of the issues that we look at and try and help people with.
To me, there seems to be an enormous gap between drug misuse and people who are drug addicts and the church. They seem to me to be at two completely opposite ends of the scale, and you must have a tremendous job bridging that gap.
Yeah, there is some way between where we are at as a church and, you know, obviously people that are involved in the drug culture. And the way that we actually look and see is we're not out to, you know, to Bible bash people into believing what we believe, because our beliefs are really just out to go and care and help people that are in a situation that, you know, that they would like to be out of. And the problem is you can only help people that want to be helped. So we come into contact with, you know, a lot of young people that come from a background where they are involved in drugs or drug misuse or what have you, or various different situations where at the end of the day we're there to help them first and foremost, rather than, you know, preach the Bible at them or what have you. So the way that we actually bridge those gaps is, well, you know, we just get to know the people.
Fiona is 17 years old. She was a drug addict, now she's straight. Fiona, tell me, at what age did you first get into drugs?
I began to take drugs when I was around 12 and a half.
That seems to me to be a very young age to be involved in anything like that. Can you tell me how you got involved at that age?
I wouldn't put it down to peer pressure, though many young people do start taking drugs because of peer pressure. I believe I started because as I looked a great deal older than I was treated as such, and the people that I was with, the people that I was friends with, were all drug users, and almost took it for granted that I would also take drugs. So I started taking them and found that I couldn't stop.
And what sort of things were you into?
I started off on quite heavy drugs. I started off on ecstasy and speed. I moved on to stuff like hash and acid, simply because they were cheaper and they lasted longer than most other things.
When did you realise that it wasn't a bit of fun and that it was starting to be a problem for you?
I realised when I'd been taking drugs for about 6 months that I did have a problem, that I was addicted, and this wasn't something I could just shake off.
And how did you address that?
At first I just ignored it, really. I didn't want to see what I was doing to myself, and subconsciously I believe that I almost wanted to be harming myself the way that I was. It wasn't until I'd been taking drugs for about 2 years that I actually began to realise that I had to stop and pull myself out of it.
Mm. When was the big turning point for you?
It was when I'd been a Christian for about a month that I actually came off drugs for good. It was very much a time where I realised that it was now or never, that I either gave up now or I was going to be hooked for the rest of my life. Mm. And that's when I decided that I had to give up, and give up straight, and just keep up with it.
Not the bass kid.
The rave culture, the club culture, is distinctly drug orientated.
Absolutely.
Up in town, you know, that you go out and, you know, you take drugs, you go to the clubs.
Yeah.
It seems a very strange choice of event to have when you're helping people to come off drugs.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you say that, simply because a lot of young people are fed a lie that really the only way to enjoy yourself, or the only way to have a good time, is if you get off your head, and if you have too much to drink, or if you pop a pill that looks like a Smartie. You know, that's the only way to enjoy yourself. But there's an awful lot of young people that don't want to get involved in that kind of culture. And there's an awful lot of young people that are involved in that culture that, you know, wish they hadn't. So what we're really offering is a way to enjoy yourself, an alternative to have very, very good DJs, to have brilliant live PAs and bands that are very professional, to have comedians and all the like, and basically have the same kind of atmosphere. And in fact, people have come along that have come from a culture, you know, from a rave kind of culture or drug culture, come along to a Hush and said, what a happy atmosphere that you've got here, but we don't promote drugs or, you know, obviously alcohol misuse or what have you.
Tara's 23 years old and she's been involved with heavy drugs for a number of years. Tell me first of all, Tara, how it all started out for you.
It started out when I was 12 years old. I started taking drugs then. I started smoking cannabis through peer pressure. All my friends were smoking cannabis. I thought it was a big thing to do, so I started it as well.
At 12 years old, soft drugs, where did it go from there?
Well, after I was 12 years old and I went to secondary school, I started using speed and trips, acid, things like that. And when I was 20, I started taking heroin and methadone really seriously bad then.
Across all that time, originally you're saying it was peer pressure, but what did you think you were getting out of drugs?
I was getting out of drugs, it was a high, it was blocking out problems at school, problems at home I had. It was blocking out problems with a boyfriend I had.
What was the big turning point that made you come straight?
The big turning point for me was meeting a friend at the school my kids go to. She went to a local church and she just got friendly with me, and after a few weeks she invited me along. I went along out of curiosity and I just thought to myself I had nothing to lose by going. And I went along and I liked what I saw. I liked the people who were there. I could see they had something worth living for, whereas all I had worth living for was drugs.
What was it about the church? I mean, there is obviously the spiritual side, which is extremely important, but what was it physically about the church that gave you that huge amount of willpower that you need to kick a heroin habit?
All the people in the church are so friendly. They were all so supportive with me. None of them ever pressured me into stop using. They all were just there supporting me the whole time, and it was my own decision to stop using. And when I did decide, they were still all there supporting me the whole time.
Looking back on when I took drugs, I can see now why I wanted to take drugs, which I think is the real issue, not what I was doing, but why I was doing it. Since I've become a Christian, I've found that God gives me everything I could ever need, all the excitement, all that I was getting from drugs, and a lot more. And that in itself is sufficient. I don't need drugs anymore. They were security for me. They were the only thing I knew. It was the life I knew. But I don't need that anymore because I have a new life. I'm a new person. Everything about me and everything about my life has completely changed.
You're still only 17. You're still very, very young. What advice can you give to 12, 13-year-olds who may well be getting into drugs right now?
To talk to someone that they trust, someone who is older, someone who is wiser than they are. And there are people around who can help. There are great societies which can help you, and great, like Narcotics Anonymous, that can help and are wonderful places to go to. But I would urge people to act, because if you don't, you're going to get further and further and further into it, and that'll be the end.
If you're experiencing problems with drugs or anything connected with them, there are many places you can turn for help, like your local GP or hospital. There are also a number of organisations and groups that can provide help and support with drug-related problems, and you can contact them through your local branch of the Samaritans.
And here with me in the studio is Ivor Peters. Welcome to Scene on 7, Ivor. Thanks for coming along. Now, tell us a little bit about how you're actually helping young people in the community that have got a drug problem.
I think, first of all, the key thing is that we're a church that are pretty much there for the community. So anything we can do for the community, we're willing to do so. And the thing that you'll find with young people is, first of all, before you offer any kind of help or advice, it's just an ear that they want. They want somebody to listen to them and actually tell people why they take drugs, what's the motivating reason that they take drugs, whether it's peer pressure, whether it's trying to escape from a family situation or an awkward situation. The best thing you can do is actually give somebody an ear and actually listen to their problems. Right, now the AA, for example, has a programme, I think it's the multi-step programme, where they actually stage by stage take you through a process of coming off of alcohol. Sure. Now, do you have a similar way of approaching helping young people to stop taking drugs? It depends how serious the problem is. A survey, I believe it was last year, done by the Exeter University, ranging, I think they were 11 to 14-year-olds, they actually came together with a result that of 20,000 teenagers that they interviewed in that age group, a quarter of them had sampled drugs, from anything from soft drugs right up to Class A drugs. The interesting thing is, it depends how serious the problem is. If people have just tried soft drugs, then generally it's easier to help them. But in the case of Tara, which you obviously you've seen from the cutaway, Tara had a more serious problem, and we would say, right, we're here to help you as much as we can. But when it comes into professional counselling, we're not the people that are qualified to do that. So we'd refer them to the normal steps. Go to your GP, then go to Narcotics Anonymous or whatever. And where we can offer help is the support for them as friends.
Right, now do you approach people that have problems, or do they come and approach you? How does the system work for you getting in contact with drug takers out there? Because there must be a lot. I mean, how do you isolate them?
We're not drug hunters. We haven't got an addiction program where we go and find people that have got drug problems or alcoholic problems. Really, people that are involved in the church, they will have friends, or they're in contact with colleagues at work or school, or if they're mums, they know of people that are in desperate situations. And we just simply are there to help and, you know, and offer any kind of help, whether it's practical help, you know, helping, you know, single-parent families with babysitting for their kids, or having them round for a meal because they, you know, they don't have many nights out, or anything along those lines. We're really there just to help people. So the way we go out and try and find, you know, people that do have problems are really, we don't actually try and look for them, because they really come to us.
So it's through a network within the community?
Absolutely, and that's why I say we are a community church, that we're not divorced from community. That's the area that we're in, but here's the church. You'll find the church in the community.
All right, now what about when somebody says, yes, I want to give up on drugs, it is ruining my life, but they say it but they don't do anything about it. How can you deal with that? Because that must be something that you have to face a lot of the time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I think the thing with anything, you cannot help anybody that genuinely doesn't, they just don't want to help themselves. You can talk to them till you're blue in the face, you know, and you can give them all kinds of advice, but unless they're actually willing to take the first step to helping themselves, unfortunately there's very little that you can do. You can point them in the right direction, but unless they're actually willing to show any kind of signs that, yeah, we are willing to change, and I do want to kick the habit, unfortunately, that's their first step.
Right, now, what about if somebody comes to your church and they say, no, I really, really want to give up drugs, they've given up drugs, and then that's it, you never see them again. Do you have a sense of disappointment?
Disappointment in that they're
well,
not
that they haven't joined in your community and they haven't joined along with the spirit of the church?
No, not really, because at the end of the day, we are really there to be, as I keep coming back to the point, we're there for the community. So at the end of the day, we will share with people our beliefs and how we live, which is a lifestyle. It's not a set of rules and regulations, which is where Christianity is different from religion. Religion says, don't do this, don't do that, and you'll go to heaven, which is, you know, a total, you know, it's a total fallacy. But what we're actually there to do is really say to people, well, we'd like to help you, and we've got a number of projects that are a living example. We do things, for example, for the homeless. Yep. We provide a home for the homeless that houses up to 50 homeless people. Now, we don't throw the gospel down their throat, and we don't Bible bash them. We'll say, here's a place for you to stay, here's a place where you've got a roof over your head, you've got meals that are supplied as well, you've got an ensuite bathroom in your room as well, so you have a comfortable lifestyle, because we believe that, well, if we were in that situation, how would we like to be treated? Right. But we don't see tens and dozens of them coming into the church. We're there for the need, first of all.
Now, we've talked about youngsters and drug abuse. You're just mentioning the homeless. What other things do you do in the community to help the community?
We do a number of different things. Friday nights we run a club for 12 to 16-year-olds, which is just open to anybody, as long as they're aged between 12 to 16. Saturday mornings we do a club for 7 to 11-year-olds right across the area in Slough and Windsor and the surrounding areas. So we're able to take the kids off parents' hands for a couple of hours or what have you, and provide them with some fun and enjoyment, take them swimming, all that kind of thing. We also put together, we do a thing called the contact centre, and this is for parents that are split up. But actually, unfortunately, they have kids, and there's the difficult decision as to when they can actually meet with each other on neutral ground and actually share some time with their children. And we put that together, and that's in one of the buildings that we own as well. So that's a Saturday thing as well.
So you're doing absolutely loads of things.
Loads of different things. We're a church that gets our hands dirty. We're in there for the community. And that's the way that we believe Christianity should be.
Well, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks very much for having me. Thank you.
Take care.
Cheers.
Now it's time to take a break. But still to come, Keith Jones, who's no longer travelling the freeway. Elaine Ford will be taking us on a little adventure or two. And with the benefit of modern technology and a little bit of luck, we should be talking to John Clouden, who is now 1 week into his marathon snooker competition in Blackpool.
Home Superstore.
Whatever you're looking for to furnish your house, look no further than the
Ideal Home Superstore.
In our giant store on the Bath Road, Sippenham, the choice just has to be seen to be believed. With interest-free credit on some items, this is the ideal place.
Ideal Home Superstore.
388 to 389 Bath Road, just off Junction 7. It's the ideal
Superstore.
Montham Sports Centre is the place to be during the school holidays. For fun-packed weeks, there's the activity camp, which runs from Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 5:30, with activities ranging from swimming to ice skating. Or for a full fun-packed day, why not join our daily camp? There are numerous other activities for you to join in during your holidays. For further details, call Slough on 875 168. Don't forget to go skating at Slough Ice Arena. Daytime sessions 11:30 to 3. It's great to skate.
What you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? Where do you think you're going? Home. You know. Leave me alone! What are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it? You can do something. Talk to an adult you trust, your parents or a teacher, and don't suffer in silence.
And welcome back to Scene on 7. Over the past couple of weeks, we've been getting to know John Clouden, the Cable Corporation employee who's taking part in the early stages of the British Opium Championship. Now, John, how's it going?
Hello. Not too bad at the moment. I played my first match, obviously, last week, which was a Dubai Classic. I lost 5-3, unfortunately, but obviously I learnt a lot from it. And then, obviously, I started the Skoda Grand Prix Championship. I won my first match 5-3. It was against somebody called, I'm just looking at a draw here at the minute. Is that say Stephen Hendry? Is that for Stephen Hendry? No, oh, sorry, no, it wasn't Stephen Hendry, no.
We would have believed you.
So I won my first match there 5-3, which obviously helped give me a bit of confidence, but then unfortunately I went on to my second match and lost 5-3 there.
But are you enjoying the tournament?
I'm enjoying it, yes. Obviously there's like a day or two gaps between each match, and it's a matter of trying to find things to do, basically. What Roy has got me in a regime of doing is I've got to be in bed by 12. I'm up at 7 in the morning. It's taking me for a long walk on the beach for an hour before we have breakfast, and then obviously start practicing.
This could be the beginning of a wonderful new relationship between the two of you, John.
Oh yeah, I think people already started talking already now. It started to look good to me because it's keeping me away from all the females that are up here.
This is what your girlfriend wants to hear. Now tell me, are there any big boys of the snooker world up there with you in Blackpool?
Well, they're obviously come at a later stage. They should be here in the next few weeks, but I think it was, I forget what days it is now because I've been away for so long. But it was about Monday, I think. Ronnie O'Sullivan was here, actually, showing off his new car with a nice number plate called Q-Boy.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. So I had a chat with him on Monday, because obviously I know him quite well anyway, from when he was about 14, I think it is.
Not that you're name dropping or anything.
No, of course not. But and then, funny enough, next day I read in the Sun they had a photo of him and the car in it as well.
Oh, you should have nipped in there quick when the photographers were there. Could have got some free advertising for the cable corporation.
That's right.
Never mind, you missed an opportunity there. But what about Blackpool? Are you managing to get around and see the sights?
Not really, actually. I went to cinema, I think it was a couple of days ago, to see Beverly Hills Cop 3, because obviously Eddie Murphy's one of my heroes.
Oh, yes.
Well, one thing I won't be doing is going down to Blackpool Pleasure Beach after what's happening on the rides down there.
No, yes, no, steer clear of those. But keep your hands away from those rides, definitely.
Definitely, yeah.
Now, what's coming up for you in the future, John?
Well, my next match now is on Wednesday morning, which is the 19th. Start at 10 a.m, which is the UK Championship. I do believe I got somebody from Thailand, the winner of someone from Thailand, and obviously a Londoner. So that would be an interesting game there. I think the Thailanders are favourite because there's quite a few of them here after the success of James Watana.
All right.
So I've got a tough draw there in the UK, but hopefully Roy's picked out a lot of faults in my game in the matches that I have played. And obviously this weekend we're going to try and iron them out.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. Now, we're going to have a quick word with Roy, because we want to see his view of what's going on up there in Blackpool. Is Roy there?
Yeah, I'll pass it on to him.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, Roy, are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm here. How are you? All right?
We're all very well. We're longing to know how he's doing.
Oh, well, we're doing quite well. Actually, John is showing quite a lot of form, good form, making a few mistakes, obviously, you know, in his safety game, but we'll iron that out.
I was going to say, what kind of tips are you being able to give him so that he'll be able to do his best on the 19th?
Well, actually, only what he was doing wrong or badly, not wrong, he was doing them badly, and it's his safety game, really. But it's not difficult to get it right. It's just a question of keeping your head on, you know, keeping it straight and being able to think properly.
Well, it sounds like you're giving him a lot of all the right support.
Oh, blimey, yes, too true.
A new father figure in his life.
Sorry?
A new father figure in his life.
Actually, he calls me his father. He always introduces me as his father.
I bet that gets people wondering.
It really does, yeah. I'll ask why, you know, how.
Oh, well, we'll be thinking of you both up there in Blackpool, and we wish you the best for the 19th.
Well, it's very nice of you. I'm sure we'll do well.
I'm sure you will too. Take care. Thanks for joining us.
All right, thank you very much. Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, on to other bits of news. What of Ron Pigott, I hear you cry? Well, you'll be pleased to know that Ron is back on form with his taste in postcards. And as you can see from his latest card, it establishes that he's made it to Scotland. Brave man, I hope he's sticking to the paths. You know what they're like up there. This week's card is somewhat ambiguous, as he writes, Pennine Way completed, now in Scotland, going well. Covered 721 miles so far. But as in all communications, it's often not what people say, but what they don't say. Does the absence of the blister count suggest his nil-point score has been eradicated, we ask ourselves. ME, or yuppie flu, is only just beginning to be understood. Results from recent surveys suggest that up to 12,000 school children in the UK have ME. Girls are 3 times more likely than boys after puberty to develop the illness, which causes chronic exhaustion, muscle fatigue and severe flu-like symptoms, leaving the sufferers severely debilitated. Surrey County Council will be surveying its schools to see how many pupils and staff are suffering from the illness. In line with this, St Peter's Hospital Teaching Centre in Chertsey have pioneered a scheme to help child ME sufferers to start their educational career again. If you want to know more about ME, a free information pack is available by sending a large stamped address envelope to Action for ME, Department 145, PO Box 1302, Wells BA5 2WE. I'll say that again, that's Action for ME, Department 145, PO Box 1302, Wells BA5 2WE. If you want to know more about the ME work at St Peter's Centre, you can contact Kate Pottinger on 0932 874 761. That's 0932 874 761. Now, if you were watching last week's programme, you'll remember it was the last in the Freeway series. Well, Keith Jones, never one to rest on his laurels, starts a new series, If Keith Can, You Can. This week, one member of the crew got more than she bargained for as WMtv went a little way up the M4 for a bit of jet skiing.
Hello and welcome to a brand new series called If Keith Can, You Can. Over the coming weeks I'm going to be trying out all sorts of activities, sort of exciting activities. They're going to include things like water skiing, hot air ballooning, quad biking, unicycling and, dare I say it, even bungee jumping. I said it. Now I've got to do it because I've said it. Now if I can do it, there's no excuse for you to be at home watching TV, being a couch potato. You can get up and get out and do something. And that's the idea of this programme, because if Keith can, you can. Now, what are we going to do today? We are going to be jet skiing, but before we have a look at that, let's meet the crew, right? Because I can do this, but I can't do it on my own. This is Emma. Emma, you are our...
PA.
PA, what's that stand for?
Production assistant.
Production assistant. Now, what does a production assistant do?
Waves the clipboard around and bosses people about.
Right, okay. Right, keep away from her. And over here we have Mark. Where were you this morning, Mark?
I was in bed, I'm sorry about that.
Yes, I had to ring Mark up this morning. Mark's on sound, as you can see. That's why he's got these funny things on his ears. And over here, we have Jim. Right, Jim, show yourself.
Hello.
Hello, Jim. Yeah.
Hello.
Right,
You're not getting me on the water.
Jim's great because he's frightened of water. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay, as I said, we are at Leisure Time Jet Ski, which if you just have a look over here, Jim, thank you. You can see just by the M4, junction 11 if you want to get here, turn down to your left, round at the roundabout, and you'll follow the signs to the jet ski place, and you can see that they're jet skiing. Now, I have to admit, a little bit of a cheat. As this is the first one, I've actually been jet skiing twice before, okay? But if Keith can, you can. Emma, don't go away, because Emma knows what's going to happen, I think. Because I said to Emma earlier on today, have you been jet skiing? And she said no. And I said, would you like to have a go?
And I said
no. She said yes. And so Emma's going to join me today, aren't you?
Possibly.
Possibly. Yes, you're in front of people now, so yes.
Maybe.
Yeah. Let's go and find out a little bit more about jet skiing. Stay there. I'm talking to John Connor. John, what do you do here?
I'm the lakeside manager here at the site. Take care of the overall business of the club and the rental operation.
And how long have you been doing that for?
We've been here about 4 months now.
But the site's been here a lot longer?
Yeah, the site has been a jet skiing site for many years, unfortunately illegally for a long time. Planning permission was granted around 2 years ago, so it was legalised 2 years ago.
Right, so what does it mean taking on a new club and starting more or less from scratch?
Yeah, it's very interesting, sometimes difficult, as all new ventures are. We did take over from an established operation, but we like to do things our way. And yeah, it's very exciting, very interesting.
Now, you're a professional or ex-professional jet skier?
I guess you could call me that, yeah.
Right. What sort of classes are there in jet skiing?
There's three main classes. There's a closed course racing class, where you literally race around a circuit. There's a slalom discipline where the guys race against a clock through a start gate and back out the start gate at the end of the session. And then there's also the freestylers that jump around and generally mess around in the water.
Right. But obviously there's a lot of people like myself who just want to do it for a bit of pleasure, really, just for a half an hour or an hour here. What does it cost?
It costs £15 for half an hour.
Right. Is that expensive, do you think?
Considering the cost of the equipment and the cost of operating the site, £15 I believe is very good value for money.
And what do I get for my £15?
For £15 you'll get a full wetsuit if you need one, you'll get a buoyancy aid, you'll get protective headgear and also tuition again if you need it.
Right. Now how safe is it, as you know, for a novice going out on the water?
Like all motorised sports, it can be dangerous, but if you take on board the things that we point out to you, the safety side of the sport, there is absolutely no reason for anybody to be injured.
Right. How long does it take to learn?
Everybody's different, and it's always hard to tell. I would say that an average person within 2 or 3 visits would have a fair idea of what they're doing.
Okay, well, can we have a go?
Certainly can.
All right, let's go and get kitted up. Well, I don't know if we can delay it anymore. Emma, how do you feel? Are you still wanting to do it? You're going to give it a go. Great. Well, we need to go and get ready, put our wetsuits on. We'll be back in a second. Yeah, that was quick, wasn't it? How are you feeling?
Nervous still.
You look better than you did before. Less white now. We've got to go meet John, and John's going to tell us all about the safety aspects and what to do on the water. So, you ready?
Yep.
All right, let's go.
Three controls on the machines: stop switch, start switch, and a throttle. Throttle is on your thumb, similar to quad bikes. Okay, it's down there. When you let it go, yes, it does spring back. Okay, that's the question we get asked a lot. When you let it go, it does spring back. Stop button is misleading. It says stop, and when you push it, as I said before, there are no brakes, so in fact you don't stop. The only thing it does is turn the engine off. The only way you can slow is to let the throttle go, press the stop switch, and eventually you will coast to a halt. Okay, similar to anything that floats on water, most boats have reverse. You don't even have reverse. So remember, again, it takes a long time to stop. Okay, when you're coming back to the shore, 10 or 15 yards off the shore, let the throttle go, press the stop switch, the machine will then slow down and you will coast to a halt. No problems at all. Most people, when they're learning on this equipment, kneel in the back. They're designed to be stood in, but most people kneel on them. You can probably see a couple of guys doing it out here. When you are kneeling in the back of them, to turn a corner, all you need to do is turn the handlebars. Okay, again, once you're out there, same as test driving a car, you'll learn how far, how fast, etc., etc.
Okay, we're ready to have a go here. That's Emma going out there. Now, I think she's very, very brave. Now, you don't know how scared she was before she came out and tried this, so she really didn't want to go, but I think she was pushed by the camera and people at home. So I think she's done extremely well. I'm going to have a go now. But that's really the spirit of if Keith can, you can, because remember, if I can do it and people like Emma can do it, there's no excuse why you can't do it. Now, watch me make a prat of myself. Here we go. Brilliantly. You've had a go. That's amazing.
I'm going to go to the gym and work out.
How do you feel?
I'm really tired. My arms hurt so much. I didn't realise how sort of strong they were. It also hurts your back here, doesn't it?
Well, that's the end of the first If Keith Can, You Can. I hope you've enjoyed it. That was jet skiing. Emma, come here. Come here. You did brilliantly well. You had a go. That's the main thing. How do you feel?
Exhausted.
Exhausted?
Yeah.
But you did it, didn't you? Had a go.
Well, I didn't quite make it, but it was fun.
Would you like to have another go sometime?
No.
Say yes.
Wild
Say
horses
yes.
couldn't drag it.
But it's you can tick it off the list now, can't you?
Yeah,
jet ski,
definitely.
done that. You can go. You can tell all your mates down the pub. Jet ski, yeah, I've done that. No problem. And that's the idea. So if Keith can, you can. Coming back soon. Bye-bye.
And in the studio, we're joined by Keith. Welcome.
Hello, welcome. Thank you.
Now, the Freeway series is over, sadly. What do you think that whole series has achieved?
Well, it remains to be seen, I think, what it has achieved. I mean, it's raised a lot of local awareness, I mean, for me and obviously people here, but obviously for viewers, hopefully. Rosemary, who produced the programme, did a lot of work in trying to get the message across, and a lot of people like myself probably wouldn't have had a clue what was going on and what could happen and what, sadly, I think will still happen, really.
What about in terms of who you would have liked to have seen the series, like in the way of politicians? Who would you like to sit down in front of a television screen and watch that programme?
Well, I think there's one or two MPs we could have tried to rope in, but one or two said no, and it was quite difficult. And you're up against, I mean, we did interview a couple of times people from the Department of Transport, and they'd only come on as long as we didn't ask them certain questions, you know, so you really had your hands tied. And once or twice I did ask them questions while we were recording, and they stopped, or we had to redo it or whatever. So it's difficult in terms of what you can get people to do. And I really wanted, when we first started, and Rosemary asked me to do it, I wanted to try and get a balanced view. And to be honest, that was difficult in terms of everybody that we spoke to didn't really want this motorway extension to go ahead.
Right, well, we hope it goes well in terms of raising awareness in the future anyway. Now, the new series, If Keith Can, You Can, that you've just started. Now, I have to say, as you pointed out in that film, you've already given jet skiing a go, haven't you? So well, you cheated a little bit there. Well,
there are going to be lots of things I haven't done, I promise you. I mean, bungee jumping, one of them. It frightens me when I think about that. And I wanted to try to start with something that I had done, so it gave me a bit of confidence. And I'd only been jet skiing twice before, so you know, it wasn't like I was an expert or anything. And it's one of those things, I think, if you've got a reasonably good sense of balance, then you can get up and do it. So I just wanted to cheat a little bit and not make a complete fool of myself for the first programme, so at least do something I've done a little bit of. But I think what I'm trying to do is get everybody else involved as well. And we actually did a programme yesterday where we went down to Poole, and we got some of the crew involved in that, and everybody had super time, and everybody had a go. And
what was that for? What were you doing?
Yesterday, it's still on the water, but not everything's going to be on the water. But yesterday was in the water, and we were doing kneeboarding and water skiing.
Now, did you make a prat of yourself then?
Oh, yes.
Good, this is what we want to hear. we want to make sure that you're true to your word and you're getting out there and falling over a little bit. Because I must say that when I did the piece with Simon Brandt a while ago when we were doing the sailing, and I was so nervous before I went out there. I was seeing these sort of boats going along, and I was thinking, yeah, you're not going to get me on one of those. And then they said, actually, that's the one you're going out on. And I went, I'm not doing this. I don't want to do this. But I thoroughly enjoyed it once I got out there.
Yes.
And that's very much the spirit of what you're trying to do, isn't it?
Very much so. I mean, it's the sort of thing where, as you say, you sit there and you think, oh, that looks terrible. That looks quite terrifying. Or, really, I'd like to have a go, but I don't think I've got the nerve to do it. And if they can see somebody like me, just an ordinary guy, having a go at these things, then hopefully it gives them gumption and say, well, if he can do it, any old twerp can do it, really. And that's the spirit of what I'm trying to encourage people to do.
So now you've given the game away a little bit in terms of you got Emma roped into doing the jet skiing and she knew nothing about it, but the crew are going to be warned from now on.
Yeah, but they seem to be volunteering more and more now. There's like 4 people coming. We're going to do quad biking on Sunday, and like 4 people coming out here now. So
what's quad biking?
It's like a big motorbike, but it's on 4 wheels, and it's great big tyres, and you go over sort of terrain and have good fun, really.
Oh, that sounds like fun. No, yeah, I could get involved. It might be 5 before you know it. So what about this bungee jump? Because every time you've mentioned it, like you mentioned it in the piece just now, you've just mentioned it then, you go a bit of a funny colour.
I know, yes, I do. I don't know why I've done this to myself, really. Bungee jumping was supposed to be this Sunday coming. And
you managed to move it?
No, I didn't manage to move it. The people who were organising it rang me up and said, I'm sorry, but we've had to postpone because we haven't got enough jumpers for this weekend. And I remember I lay in bed last Saturday and I thought, it's a week away. I'm going to be doing this bungee jumping a week tomorrow. And I felt myself go quite pale and my heart started beating. I thought, what am I doing? What have I done? And when he rang me up and said it's postponed, I thought, oh, thank goodness for that. But we'll get another date. And so I will do it. I will have to do it. I mean, it's one of those things you've got to do, and I've promised I'll do it, and I will do it.
Now, what about the health side of things? I mean, like Emma was saying that when she came off with a jet ski, she felt a little bit of an ache in her back. Now, obviously, she's perfectly healthy and perfectly fit. Is there anything that you're doing that you think people ought to be a little bit more careful about, like bungee jumping, for example?
Yeah, well, everything has got risks, hasn't it, really? I mean, crossing the road can be dangerous if you're not careful, so, and life is one long risk. I mean, obviously nobody should be encouraged to do something if they do have severe injuries or back injuries or whatever, and anybody who's going to do something like that should see their doctor if they feel that there could be a problem. But
for the most part, the things that you're doing are available to everybody, all WMTV viewers.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, that's great. Well, I can't wait.
In fact, there are people actually who have been in wheelchairs and done bungee jumps as well. So,
oh, really?
You know,
What, they just wheeled them off the edge and they've gone, wah!
So it's for everybody.
Great. I can't wait to see the quad biking and the bungee jumping. I look forward to that with great interest. Thanks very much for coming in.
May I just say what a great show you're putting together as well.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Well, while we're on the subject of sports and hobbies, if you are a horse rider in the Shepperton and Sunbury area, you might like to know of a new ride which goes around the outside of the golf course at Charlton Lane, Shepperton. Riders will need to obtain a permit from the Sunbury Riding Club. There will be an initial registration fee of £5 and an annual renewal fee of £1. If you're interested, you can contact Diane Cook at Sunbury Riding School on 0932 566 184. That's 0932 566 185. Earlier in the programme, I mentioned Elaine Ford and the banana ride. Well, it gets worse. There's also the Thunder River, the Flying Fish, the White River. No, I'm not talking about the latest Haagen-Dazs ice cream. I am, of course, talking about Elaine Ford's trip to Thorpe Park with our official ride testers, the Cabarrus family.
Good morning. I'm Elaine Ford from WMTV, and we've just arrived at Thorpe Park with the Cabarrus family, and we're hoping for a great day out. So let's go, and we'll catch up with you later.
Well, here we are at the Flying Fish roller coaster. A nice, gentle start to the day. Are you all looking forward to this ride? Yes. Me too. Let's go. And I thought that was going to be a really tame ride. What did you guys think of it?
That was a good start.
Good fun, eh? Would you go on it again?
Yeah, definitely.
Come on then, let's go.
White River rafting down Thunder River. You want to try it? It's great fun, but it's really wet. We like this one, don't we, guys? Well, what did you think of that one? Are you wet enough?
Yeah, we loved it. That was great. This is the right to be.
It's perfect, isn't it? Well, I've got news for you. We're going to get even wetter now because we're about to go on Logger's Leap. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Yeah. Right. Where are we? Yeah. Rangers County, actually. This is the newest area of Thorpe Park, and it's got two new rides, the Rangers Carousel, and behind me, Mr. Monkey's Banana Ride, which we've got to go on, because Michael's not really happy about going on that. Oh, no, you don't. Well, that was my fault. I'm the one that forced Michael onto this, and I feel really ill. Michael feels great.
This is much more like it. You ought to be on one of these. This is so relaxing. So, Michael, 2 new rides for the kiddies. Yes, and I know I behaved like a kid. But anyway, how did you cope with that banana boat?
I think I'll give the banana boat a sleep next time. It should stay with the kiddies, not for me.
I agree. So on that, chaps, who for the banana boat?
I'll give it
Who for the carousel?
No. No.
Well, now we're going to go on this. Lunch at last. We're going into Potbelly's restaurant behind me to join the Cabaris family, and we'll catch up with you at the farm. See you later. So Ian, how long have you been farm manager here?
This is my 13th year.
Crikey.
So we've seen a few changes and seen a lot happen in that time.
I bet. And I mean, there's lots of sheep here, but what kind of other animals do you have here?
We have all the domestic farm animals, cows, pigs, calves, and we have the shire horses, donkeys, and then the poultry, chickens, ducks, geese, turkeys, so all the whole range of domestic farm animals.
Well, that's a lot, isn't it? And what would you say that is the main purpose of this farm?
Well, I think it is to give people an opportunity to be close to animals. And you can see the animals here that are standing by me being stroked, and the people who have been stroking them. Well, you don't very often get a chance to go and stroke sheep, and this is what we hope to be able to give people. That's that little bit extra.
So, here we are, approaching the end of our day now at Thorpe Park. And we're going to let somebody else do the work for a change, because we're going to see a live high dive show from a team in America. And there's going to be some pretty spectacular stunts. So, here goes. So now, at the end of your day, the burning question, did you all enjoy yourselves?
Yes,
with a lovely
we certainly did. Yes, yeah. It's a very family-orientated park, and considering the fact that we came for the kids and considering the expression on their face, we think we definitely enjoyed it. You know.
Yeah, it's worth it just to see that laughter, isn't it? Really.
Yes.
Do you think it was good value for money? I mean, how much did you spend for the whole day? Would you say?
Including the entrance fee, we spent something around £70, which, considering that we didn't set any limits in our spending, because we thought we wanted to be a special day for them, I think that is good value for money. You know, so most of our money went on souvenirs and things like that, so that are quite expensive sometimes, but it was still value for money.
Spot that. And also, I mean, there's so many rides, aren't there? There's so many rides you didn't have a chance to go on as well, and so many more things to see, but you can't really do it all in
No,
a day.
it's definitely, I mean, this type of parks are definitely a 2-day outings, but then again, there you are, you know, sort of, I think we enjoyed ourselves, and that was the important thing.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you had a good day out.
Certainly will.
So, that's it from us. We're off home now, so this is Elaine Ford from WMtv with the Cabaris family at Thorpe Park. Bye.
Thorpe Park is close to junctions 11 and 13 off the M25. Come off at either of the junctions and take the signs along the A320 to Thorpe Park. If you want more information, you can call the Thorpe Park information line on 0932 562 633. That's 0932 562 633. That's it for this week's programme. Remember to stay tuned for details of the July freebies coming up on your screen straight after this programme. If you have any comments or suggestions for WMTV, as long as they're clean, you can contact us at Scene on 7, WMTV, PO Box 7, Slough, SL3 6ET. I hope you've enjoyed this week's Scene on 7 with me, Bubba Mitchell, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. In the chair next week will be our intrepid reporter, Tony O'Rourke. It might be a struggle to keep him in one place for an hour, but I'm sure he'll keep you entertained. Well, that's it from Scene on 7 for this week. Bye-bye and take care.